Yo, what's up, guys? Today we have a really fun and energizing interview with Yaron Ben Nun. He is founder and CTO of Nostromo Energy. I think you guys will dig this one. I had a lot of fun recording it. I think you guys will love the vibe and have a lot of fun listening. Thanks, and as always, let us know what you think. So we have excellent people that work on the podcast, so I just like to start talking, and I wish I had recorded the previous section because there was some good shit in there.
No, I'll give you some of that because the first question is I started from my bio. You see that I started as a marketing communication, but this is of course not where the story starts. This is just in the middle of the story because I was a filmmaker and I was making films. I was a film director or music videos and TV commercials and documentaries. And I had some epiphany or some event, like life-changing event that I'm not sure that we'll want to go into that. Maybe yes, it's upon you. And
it's all good. Well, this is an organic conversation. So wherever you want to go, I'll follow.
Okay, so I'll give you that. I don't tell this story a lot, but like I said, you're a curious person. So I will just say that getting 12 years ago, starting to work as a marketing communication manager in a company was my only getaway into the energy arena or the startup energy arena, because I was a film director before and I could convince somebody that marketing communicating manager is not that different because I already understand media and whatever. I was a lecturer in some prestigious places, so I said I'll learn fast how to be a marketing manager, but this was only the window, if I may say so, through I could get into the scene. Otherwise, because I don't have a resume, I didn't study in college. I'm just 12 years graduator, and then I started college, but I had we didn't had then it was the early 90s. We didn't have the ADHD, Adderall and all these very fancy, things that can put your ass in your seat. So I went to the university, but I was all over the place. I was like acting crazy, and after like 3 semesters, I just fell out. I was saying I can't go into ancient Greek. I cannot do that. Leave me alone. So I didn't have any resume. I don't have a proper CV. So I went when I decided after this life-changing event that I will talk in a moment. I was looking for a place to learn some things about the energy, the new energy realm or arena or whatever, and I found a great entrepreneur. That was before I knew the meaning of this word. Today I still don't know how to spell it, but he was the first entrepreneur I met, and immediately he saw that I'm passionate and that I can actually take this part that he was in need for to become his marketing communication manager. But I knew nothing about what is the actual meaning of being a marketing communication manager. And so the question, the origin of your question that was written in the correspondence was how I started marketing communication manager, and now I'm CTO. So I'll let you that. I'll give you that. I don't really know what is to be a CTO as well, and everybody keep on telling me that I'm not the best CTO I could choose for myself. But of course I'm joking, because I know very well what I'm doing is but I cannot be a CTO in every company. I can be only the CTO of my company, because I deeply understand what I'm doing here or what we are doing here. So I'll tell you about this life-changing event, because I think that will be even more interesting than talking about ice storage. Well, not more interesting, but at least but good enough for your listeners.
What?
Like I told you, I was a film director, and I had a documentary about a gigolo in Amsterdam. I was young. I had time. I said, okay, I would like to do a documentary that will, be fun to watch and interesting. And I was researching in Amsterdam, and I met this very interesting guy. And so I had this documentary about the gigolo in Amsterdam. It was fun, and I went to Basel, the film festival in Basel. And I don't know if you know, but if you're a film director in a film festival that your film is being, shown there, you get tickets to all the others, screenings. So I found myself, wandering between different screenings. I got into one of these events, and that was like a gathering of shorts of students from all over the world. It was 1.5 minute shorts, some animation, some real life stories, whatever. So I was in this loop of many short films of students from all over the world, and I saw one clip that changed my life. But the thing is that I didn't know that this clip is going to change my life when I saw it. Only a few days later, from all these hundreds of films or shorts that I saw, this one stood alone. And it was so strong in my mind. And it was so frustrating because I didn't know the name of the director. I didn't even remember what language was it, because it was in Basel. So the film was in all languages: Russians, Dutch, Croatian, whatever, Spanish, Italian. So I will tell you the story. I remember the story crystal clear, but I can't tell you even if it was animation. It was in classic animation. I think it was French, so let's imagine that it was in French. And there was a very, very old man,
Right.
like 90 years old, and he's standing in front of the camera in a tight close-up, and he's holding whatever, let's say 10 francs coin, and he's playing with his coins, just throwing this coin and catching it, and throwing it and catching it, and saying nothing. And it's like there is a tension being built. And then he catch it again. He started and say in French, I am 96 years old. From the day I was born until this morning, I ate 1,765 loaves of bread. And I ate 14 and 3/4 sheeps. And I ate 128 tuna fish. And I ate 900 pounds of tomatoes, and I ate, and he just keep on, and he's once in a while he stops, he looks at you, he's throwing the coin and catch it, and he keeps on doing it. And I ate hundreds or whatever, the 1,000 pounds of onion, and I ate, and that cow goes forever because he's 96 years old. He ate a lot of stuff. And at a certain moment, the whole scene is like 90 seconds. Okay, it's 1.5 minutes short, and the camera starts to pull back. And what you see when the camera is pulling back, that everything that these guys is saying is actually behind him, standing. So you see the 14 sheep, the 2.5 cows, the 400 octopuses that he ate, the tuna fish, the onions, the tomatoes, the whatever, everything, and the camera pulls back, and what you see, that there is a huge mountain of food behind this old guy, and you just get the perception. Wow, this is what this one thin, very thin old guy ate all his life. And then when he finished, after, I don't know, it was everything, when it was finished, the camera just dolly in, crash zoom into his face. And he said, and you know what is amazing about this story? That all this came through my asshole, which is not bigger than this 10 francs coin. Now, imagine yourself. Now he's a cat, and the credits starts, cameraman, whatever, director, sound man, whatever. And everybody, like 400 people sitting there, and everybody thinks the same thought. Was it horrifying or hilarious? What was it? What did I just saw? And then, of course, it ends, and a new film comes, and you just forget about it. Okay? Because it's a student festival, whatever. And they just throw at your face something like a bad joke, or maybe a funny joke, but the subject of the joke is quite terrifying. I mean, We are like worms inside an apple. We are just consuming, and everything goes through our whatever, tiny 10 francs coin size asshole. And
Oh,
the feeling, and I went out, and slowly but surely, like weeks after, I got the notion or the perception or the understanding that I'm in a deep shit. I mean, I'm in a problem with one thing. If I'll die just today, and there will be some judge that will say, okay, let's see what you took and what you gave, and let's just compare the two.
yeah.
I'm lost. I'm lost. If somebody will check how much I took, and this guy was talking only about what he ate. He didn't talk about the fuels he was burning, the clothes he was wearing, all the energy that, or the people, manpower that brought this food into to his plate and whatever. This is just the start of the story. We are consuming huge amount of stuff all the time. So I felt, if I'll die today, of course, I have no chance. Maybe I can do something with my life that will have a meaning. That if I'll be judged one day, I could stand there and say, yeah, you're right. I'm a mega consumer. I'm a super whatever. But I did my best to do something meaningful with my life, with all this energy that I consumed or whatever, demanded to myself. I did my best to do something with my life that has any kind of meaning in the long run for everybody else. And from that day on, I knew that I wouldn't keep on doing films. Of course, you can do a big inflator with filmmaking, but for me, it was hard to make this my best tool or to manifest this ability through my filmmaking. And I was drawing to do something else, and energy was my choice because that was 2009, and since 2007 or so, the solar panels started to get into our lives,
Right.
and the solar panels brought a really fresh thought. Hey, we can do just the same with almost zero, well, not zero, but dramatically much less harm to the environment, to the next future, to the future generation, whatever. And that sounds like the right thing to do. So I decided to move forward with my life. And my first child was born, my daughter, and I thought that it will be my last chance at the age of 38 or 9 to change the whole course of my life. And that's when I joined this startup, which I knew nothing about energy. It was all about just general perception that energy is the next big thing, clean energy, and there must be a lot of opportunities there.
You're so right in that, like, it takes uh, one event or one input to just dramatically change the trajectory that you think your life is going to go. And I'm even struck hearing you describe that movie, and I didn't make the connection with the coin and the asshole until you articulated it. I'm like, holy shit, that's crazy. I definitely, if I were there, I'd be like, what the fuck did I just watch? And then you get onto the next movie, and you're like, whoa. How did you learn filmmaking? You probably were self-taught, right? And
Yeah,
did you?
yeah. So the story goes backwards. I was a pilot in the Israeli Air Force. I was a combat pilot. So
Gotcha.
I finished my 7 years of service very late. I was 25 years old.
Yep.
So I wanted to go to a film school and to learn this, craft in a very methodological manner. But again, I was too old for that. At the age of 25, I didn't want to go to start college all over again. And I decided just to jump and swim. And I must tell you that today, when you look at people that decide to go to learn many years in study with the whole AI, freaking movement, I don't know if today I would have chosen. For sure, today I would not choose to go and study in a traditional way. I cannot recommend on it. Will be crazy to recommend on it because still there are crafts and things you should learn in a methodological way. But it is already being proven that many successful entrepreneurs did not finish their course of studying, normal studies. Um, but I think that you need to be really a little bit crazy to throw yourself into this void with the belief that everything will be cool without a degree. Without so it's not that I did that exactly, because I must be frank with you. The first video clip I did in my life, just when I was finished my army, won a very prestigious like prize or um, it's called the Acum prize. It's a very prestigious prize here. So the first, and actually later on, that was one of my biggest, uh, time, or my most, my highest peaks in my career. The first thing I did. The whole my everything I did afterwards was a little less, promising. But I had the feeling that I already know enough to start and move forward. In Israel, being a filmmaker, this is the only way you can make a living, is to do TV commercials.
Gosh.
Otherwise, you don't make a living. So that's
Huh.
what happened to me. At certain time, I didn't want to do any more, TV commercials, and I started to consume my own, money. So I decided that was part of me looking for something else to do without keeping on selling my soul, if you might say so, to this big machine of promoting, consumption. Yeah, I was fed up with the whole idea of consumption, not because I was so enlightened, because I was part of the machine that was actually promoting consumption. So energy, when you want to redeem yourself, if you're in an overconsumption environment, serving the evil forces of promoting consumption, going into energy, clean energy, sounds now more logical. So yeah, I went there in order to redeem myself, and so many amazing things happened since this choice that I couldn't have wished for anything else to happen but to be where I am now today.
Did you teach yourself about the industry, or did you learn through doing? Did you sort of like kind of learn as you go, or did this startup have like a nice like structure, like here's who you meet, here's what you should reach, here's who you should talk
I'll
to?
tell you, instead of saying whatever I have to say about me as a self taught person, which I don't know really who can be really, only a few can say that they're really, serious about self taughting. This is self teaching, I'll tell you something. I'll tell you one tip. It will be a great tip for your listeners. So I'll tell you with an example. It's not that I'm self taughter or self teaching, whatever you call it. Um, did you see a Slam Dog Millionaire?
Yes,
Okay,
great.
so can you answer the question, if this amazing boy, was he a self-taughter?
That's a difficult one. I mean, not really.
Not really, huh? It's more like
Yeah,
faith. It's a
yeah,
faith. So
yeah.
what happened to him, that he was encountered with these different, events, that eventually he understood that they made his life. They were, it's not that he didn't have choices in between. He had many choices to do, but still, um, life and faith taught him. So I'll tell you one thing that I think it's important for entrepreneurs. So um, I was in my second company, that was after the first one. I went to a second company which I already invested some of my savings, and 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 the guy that was I was making my partner I was partnered with, he was very savvy. He was very very into the lingo, of business making, and into all these terms, and and contracts, and shares and options. He was very savvy. So so when we were, well, he was doing it, I was just watching. There was a problem that we wanted to raise money, but we did not have a proper valuation because the company did not have income.
Right.
I looked at him, and that's how I learned about convertible loan. Now, convertible loan means, okay, you know what? You like what we're doing. You're an investor, and and I have a company. I'm telling you a great story. You love the story. We need $1 million in order to run our operations for the next 2 years or 1 year or half a year, whatever,
Right.
and bring it to the next level that we can, raise much more money and scale up.
Right.
But you understand that we don't have income yet, and if I will argue that we worth $10 million, we're in a deep shit of trying, to convince each other, but that will be that this is not the path we would like to take. So let's agree that we don't agree. Let's agree that we cannot agree on valuation now. So let's make this mechanism called convertible loan, meaning you give me $1 million, and we will make a mechanism that in the next round, let's say I will raise another $2 million in referring to a valuation of $10 million.
Right.
So now the $1 million that you gave me worth, let's say 10%, but you'll get a discount because you gave it now and not later on, and the discount will be, let's say 30%. It's a generous. It's the most generous discount before you're sounds like desperate. Nobody wants a desperate entrepreneur. So 30%. Right. So the meaning of that, you'll get 13%, just roughly saying 13% when I'll raise the next one. So, okay, this is quite simple mechanism that helps us not to argue on something that we cannot really prove. So now comes the more savvy investor, and he says, "Hey, but what if your next, valuation won't be $10 million. I know, I understand you're sure you can do that, but I'm not sure. So what happens if it will be $5 million? So you say, no problem. Then you'll get 20%, and you'll get 30% on this 20%. So you'll have a good 24% or whatever. I don't know, on the... or it maybe becomes 30%. Never mind. You'll get a bigger percentage if our valuation will be lower." So he said, "Okay, but what if there will be no next? How can I hedge my risk going forward with you?"
Right.
So the answer will start to be tough because you have nothing. So how can you hedge his risk if the next stage will go wrong?
Right.
Then the lawyers of your investors will start to look for things, below the rugged or below the ground. What do you have? Do you have IP? Let me have your IP. What do you have? Do you have any assets? Let me have your assets. So if something will get wrong, I'll have your ass. I'll eat your head. I'll take your heart. I'll kill you.
Yeah.
And looking at that, it always seems to me like, hey, you'll have nothing to eat. I mean, you'll get nothing out of it. If we will go down, you should be in a position to understand that we might go down and it will be worth nothing.
Yes.
So my best kept advice to your entrepreneurs that standing in front of this, and of course this situation is ending with a 70 pages contract on nothing. There is nothing to write contract, and there is 70 pages contract, which is your investors trying to hedge his risk. What if everything will go to garbage?
Right.
So my suggestion to you entrepreneurs is, instead of hedging your risk, why not hedging your success?
Right.
Okay, so now it's become interesting. So your investor said, what do you mean? I said, look, we can go down this path, and you'll understand I have very little, and you'll take my IP, let's say. Bullshit. My IP, I wrote, I applied for a patent. I didn't got it yet. I'm just a young company. And even when I'll get it, if I won't be here, you'll never be able to make anything with this patent or whatever. What IP do I have? I mean, I need to make it work in order that IP will be worth something. So let's look at the other side. What happened if I will raise now in a valuation of $100 million? Let's say I'm as good as you believe I am, and what's happened then? You just put $101 million. I will raise a valuation of $100 million. You just won 1%.
Yeah.
Are you serious? Because of you, this company is existing, and you'll take only 1%. So I'm suggesting you leave all this hedging risk. Be well with the idea that it will go, if it won't work, it will go to garbage like 100,000 other startups. But hedge your upside, hedge our success, our mutual success. And he says, how can you do that? So the answer is very clear. We will cap our valuation at 10 million. Meaning, if I will rise with 20 million, you will still get 10% of the company and not 5%. If I will rise with a valuation of 100 million, you will still get 10% and not 1%. So that for the right investor and the right entrepreneur, this is something that can release a lot of steam and can keep let you keep a lot of stem, because otherwise you will worn out in trying to explain the lawyers of your investor how he can protect him. He cannot protect himself. I am an idea. I'm an idea walking and speaking. I'm not yet a company. That's why you come to me at early stage, So here is what you say, am I self-taught, person, whatever. I just gave you one thing that one partner of mine taught me that saved my life later on. So what I'm trying to tell you actually is just be there when things happen.
Yep. And observe.
Pay whatever price you need, like to be there, be in the room where the real conversation are being made, and you will earn your study. I mean, you can be in a company, work your ass, but you're out of the room where the right things happen that you need if you want to keep on moving. If you're good with where you are, stay where you are. But if you would like to understand, no MBA will teach you the art of negotiation. The only way you can be, a good, negotiator is if you sit as many hours as you can in rooms that negotiation is being made. This is my advice.
Yes, that's wonderful. And what a great example too, because it's these sorts of arcane valuation, stock, negotiations. That's something, I have found it's something that most entrepreneurs, even really only are able to do 2 or 3 or maybe 4 times per company. It's you do it in 6 months, you maybe do a couple of pitches, you have couple of term sheets to negotiate, but you do that maybe 3 or 4 times. So if you, and unlike when you negotiate buying a car or when you negotiate a house, you have a lot of reps at that, but the arcane concepts of selling stock in exchange for money, painting a vision, that's great advice. If you can
I have another one. You just made me give you another one. You see, because your smiling face, because it sounds like you're really interested in what I have to say to you. So I'll give you another one. There is a film. There is a film that every entrepreneur must see.
I will watch it.
It's Glenn Rose.
Okay, closer.
And I'll tell you why. Not because of the simple, story, amazing film. Not because of the classic criticism that comes from the film or on the salesperson life. It's a heartbreaking movie on salespeople. Of course, it's the best film you can ever ask for. So go see it. Put your coffee down. These are lines. Only closers drink coffee. I said, put your coffee down. You have first prize Cadillac, second prize set of steak knives. You know what is third prize? You are fired. So okay, so you see this film, and you get into this really creepy a place of salesmen and trying to sell things that are not exist, and all these con people selling. But there is one thing there that is the drive of this film is totally true. The drive, the theme, the inner force of this film goes through, and it's very truthful. And it doesn't really matter if you are on the right side or the wrong side of the sale craft, because some of us selling crap, and some of us selling the future.
Right.
But the same powers or method or theme is driving both crafts of selling, and this is ABC. You remember what is ABC?
No.
Oh, okay, you should. Okay, you must always be closing.
Yeah.
So always be closing. ABC. Always be closing. What is the meaning of this sentence? The meaning of this sentence is the negotiation on a deal is never being done in the room.
Right.
This is just like the place that everything is getting being very condensed, and things mature or manifest themselves as a contract.
Yeah.
But the relationship between an investor and an entrepreneur, or whatever, a buyer and a seller, and this is what this film is all about. These guys are trying to create this relationship with the buyers, which is false. These guys are selling nothing, okay? But in real life, it doesn't matter. The craft of selling stays the same, and this is, get interested in the life of the one that you're making business with.
Right.
Be curious about him for real. Don't act. If you act, you're a con man. This guy is putting his money in your company. It's like you mix your blood with him.
Right.
You're going to sell him a dream that you're going to pursue, and he is a believer. He's going to believe that you will pursue this dream. Be careful. Building a relationship, be truthful, be interested in his personal life. You're making a friend. If you're a professional, you're just making a friend. Just get away, mature. This is your friend because he's putting his money in your dream. What better friend you can ask for? So start get interested in this guy's life, because you are friends now.
Yeah.
And your liability is much more than the lawyer's liability in this. Your liability is to actually be the rainmaker you are, you're pretending to be, or you believe you are. Okay, it's not pretending. It's not believe. I believe I'm a rainmaker. Can I make you believe in that? Let's go together and bring some rain. Now, sometimes the rain might, be delayed, whatever. Still, I will sit down with you and we'll have a good, conversation, and we'll have a good laugh because you're a partner of mine to this journey. And I love every one of my investors, even the ones that doesn't like me very much. And there are very few. No, they don't like me, not personally, because they had different expectations to how fast we will get where we are saying we will get there. They are impatient, but I can tell you there are only two. I have many investors through it. I mean, the company has raised, my company is $30 million till this day. I have more than a few investors that are involved in bringing my business into maturity, and only two I'm less comfortable to talk with today, but I will be comfortable to talk with them a year from now. Only to resent me a little bit. I didn't do any wrongdoing. It's just that I'm too slow for their own, perception of how things should go. And since Nostromo, my company, is trying to change the world, I'm saying whatever my sister told me. He says your epitaph will say the hardest thing was to change the world. That will be written on my grave. So I'm telling my investor, look, we're truly there. We're truly have this like ambitions or idea to change the world. This is nothing, nothing small in it. It is a big mission. It takes time, but we're succeeding in doing that.
Right.
Slowly, but surely.
That's powerful. How do you, so like, this is a constant refrain, right? Like between investors and entrepreneurs, and a lot of investors are, I guess, necessarily impatient. How do you sort of deal with that? Do you just have to accept that they have different psychologies occasionally, or do you?
So my father says always under promise, over delivery.
Yeah,
But this is bullshit because it's very hard. When you
it's
try
hard.
to raise money, you cannot go low on expectations.
No, you have to over promise and exceed those promises, right? Like,
Yeah. Of course, keeping your story realistic. Panor, I can tell you that the worst ideas are the mediocre ideas that makes you fall in love with them, so they kill you.
yeah,
You don't want to fall in love with the mediocre idea.
yes,
You don't want to fall in love with something foolish and stupid, because you will give 3 good years to any stupid idea.
that's
It
true.
doesn't matter. Do
That's
you
true.
know this? Do you know these small 3-leg plastic caps that you put under the cardboard in pizza, so the cheese won't stick to the cardboard?
Yes,
You know
yes,
this? So you know the
yeah.
story about the guy that invented that and became rich, like filthy rich?
No,
You don't know?
no.
Because there is no story. There is no story like that. That's why you don't know it. Because nobody ever made himself rich from such a stupid idea. But you can imagine that the guy that had this idea did invest his life in it.
That's
Because
true.
because the first one you need to do, you need to have a mold. A mold costs 10,000, 20,000. And believe it or not, this guy went and tried to write patent on this bullshit, because this was an idea. It was a rightful idea. No, nobody wants his pizza to stick to the cardboard. Nobody wants. So everybody needs it. So in a way, in the way of the mind of the guy that his pizza was smashed, and he said, "Hey, why don't they have this little 3-leg alien that will hold the cardboard?" Well, yeah, it's an amazing idea. And let's say he was stoned. He was a little bit stoned when he had this thought. This is the worst. If you have a good idea when you're stoned, he goes, yeah, and people start to kiss each other because they won the lottery. Then he goes to hell, like 3 years of hell. He invested everything. He sold his house. He made molds. He still printed them. It's such a good idea that million Chinese people were doing that, after 2 months. Yeah, and this guy is devastated. This guy found himself, overdosed in a ditch. Because, yeah, I'm sure this is the right story. So between the two stories of this guy that became a multi-billionaire because of this idea, the one that found himself overdosing in a ditch, I can tell you for sure I will gamble on this one. The overdose in a ditch. So you need to understand that good ideas might kill you. They have the
Right,
potential to take you down. So
right.
so 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 choosing the right idea to go and makes a suicide with, because when you have a good idea and you decide I'll make it work, you give everything. You give your mother, your grandmother, your sister, everybody, that everything becomes a resource to to
Yeah,
to help you pursue this megalomanic stupid idea that the whole world waits to hear what you have to say. Yeah, right. And me, what I had to say to the world is, let's freeze some water. So we didn't talk about Nostromo yet, but I can tell
let's.
you that this is crazy to go and to open a startup, to start a startup and raise money with the theme or the idea or the premise. I'm gonna freeze water like no one ever froze water before. Yeah, man. If I was the one that hearing myself saying that 7 years ago, I would say, hey man, go, treat yourself, go to rehab, do something with yourself. This is the most stupid sentence I've ever heard. You're gonna
Yeah.
teach the world how to freeze water? Get away, leave me alone. You'll never have my money.
So how did you? Yeah. So how did you? I guess discover the opportunity for Nostromo and.
So the thing was that the first $500,000, which is the most hard to get,
Yeah.
or the first $200,000, which was a friend and family without friends, only family, was not presenting the solution, but presenting the problem and the potential of a good solution in this area.
Yeah.
And I did it very well because I just saw it. I saw three things. I saw that air conditioning is the highest, one of the highest demands on the grid of the electric grid are air conditioning. I knew that water changing phase from liquid to ice has immense power of storing cold energy. It's called latent heat. You can go Google the latent heat of water. It's an amazing phenomenon that when water change phase, the water you drink every day, the 70% of your body, when they change phase from liquid to solid, they can hold a whole lot of cold energy in them when they change phase, becoming solid. And then the third thing, I knew that when the sun is setting down, all solar production goes away, vaporized like into thin air. And solar is the future of this grid because it's
Right.
cheap, regardless the fact if you hug or do not hug trees. Solar is cheaper than everything. Okay, so now look at these three things. Solar is coming and going, and it's becoming more and more important production mean on the grid. The sun is setting down. When the sun is setting down, the grid, which rely on solar, is going through a huge, emergency procedure, whatever. This is a collapse of the main source of energy. Like in California, every day, 18,000 megawatts of solar are gone, vanished through a sunset. Okay, this is one. The second one is that so the biggest need now after the solar has won the contest is storage, because only storage can balance all this instability and will help the grid continue in becoming renewable resource relied on. Okay, and then you have air conditioning, which is by far the one source biggest energy consumer. Well, in places which are hot, that now are just below, the just around between 30 degrees north and south of the equator, which is 80% of humanity lives in under these conditions. And of course, there are places which are colder that getting hotter. If you heard what's happening in Canada, in Siberia, whatever, everybody are getting hot. So air conditioning, the future of air conditioning is quite stable and promised. As they will stay, air conditioning will stay a main source for the user of electricity. So and now I'm telling you about water. So you think, okay, all these batteries, rare earth material, nickel, lithium, cobalt, wars of China and America on African soil for these resources. Okay, for my laptop, okay, for my electric EV, whatever. But for the
Yeah.
grid, I mean, if the grid biggest user is air conditioning and water, tap water, can
Uh,
actually take this burden. So the only thing I need now is a good technology that will freeze water in a way that buildings could use free, clean electricity, make a lot of ice with this technology, and then release this ice through sunset and avoid using electricity for their air conditioning uses. Wow. Okay, this is an equation I can understand. Every layman can understand that this is an interesting equation because water are a quite available, abundant resource, huh? And water it can be frozen and melted for billion of times without losing this quality because this is a physical phenomena and not chemical. So you have on one side lithium, which you can charge and discharge, let's say 10,000 times before you can throw it to become a landfill. 10,000 cycles. This is like, oh, sorry, 3,000 to 4,000 cycles, like 10 years of usage on a daily basis. Okay, and then you have and it's lithium. It's quite hard to handle, to mine, to and then end of life circle of this material.
yeah.
Even avoid. Don't look at the nickel problem, the cobalt, but leave alone. Let's only
Yeah.
think about lithium. And then you have, of course, the self combustion, safety issues, whatever. Okay, lithium, which is great. Lithium, I love lithium. Every said people should try lithium, if you know what I mean. I mean, lithium is being used to cure bipolar people. Never mind. Never mind.
Was no. Wasn't it?
Lithium.
Wasn't it used to treat? Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
wasn't it
yeah.
mental health?
Bipolar issues.
But is it still used
Yeah,
now?
yeah, yeah. Of course. leave it alone. Let people Google it. Okay, so lithium is for sad people. Water is for happy guys. If you can avoid these lithium, cobalt, nickel resources and use water, and then make building, grid interactive, like thermal batteries, they can avoid the biggest use of chillers or cooling systems. Hey, now it starts to sound interesting. But I didn't tell you what is the solution. I don't have yet the cells, the technology, the control system, the software, the hardware, the stability, the efficiency. I have nothing. Okay. But when I told this story to my family, and I was very passionate about that, I see something, that was 2016.
Yeah.
I see something that is coming. They bought the potential, and I told them, okay, and now we'll bring some really smart people, not me, like really smart people, and then we'll understand how to do that in a way that building can actually incorporate it to their business. So of course we're aiming towards commercial buildings
Yeah.
and industry, big entities. And now 7 years later, we raised $30 million. We are about to secure $300 million from the Department of Energy of the United States. We're just on the verge of closing this deal. And we have a system which is running in the Beverly Hilton and the World of Astoria in Beverly Hills, Los Angeles. And we draw a lot of attention because this market is saturated with solar and they have a lot of stability problems, and they really keen on understanding how they can incorporate such clean and sustainable technology into their buildings. We hope we will change the grid as we see it, because as we speak, nobody really target buildings as a resource for the instability of the grid and renewable and storage, because lithium-ion batteries does not go into commercial buildings because of the safety issues, and we can just walk, into these buildings and put our systems with like few weeks for permits, like very easy. And now, while securing, and actually the CPUC, the California Public Utility Commission, just acknowledged us as a resource adequacy eligible, meaning that we are now can get paid for service that we give to the grid, which is actually taking off power from the grid. So not many people knows, but today the challenge is not to produce more electricity. The challenge is to mitigate and lower demand at peak demand times in order to lower the stress, because this is a much better way to control, the supply chain of electricity, if you might look at it, in this very volatile, environment of renewable, which is crazy. It's crazy that everything goes up and down, and then comes the clouds, and all the solar goes down, and then the clouds pass, and all the solar goes up. This is crazy. The electric grid cannot, mitigate that with little storage. The electric grid is waiting for a lot more of the storage. And the big question is, are we going to put first sustainable means to stabilize, or are we going to go green with means which are not sustainable and very contaminating, like lithium ion, which is again great for some usage and less for others. So we bring this. So I must put a full stop to my sentence. Well, let's do it now.
You know what's funny is I can tell that when you're in those rooms and you're closing these deals, either from fundraising or, in the sales dimension, I can tell that like people are like almost enamored with like your level of energy. It's captivating. And I think that's that. I mean, I hope you don't, I'm not saying that in a patronizing way. It's just something that I personally admire.
So I was lucky enough to fall in love with the right idea, because like I told you, I had other very, very stupid ideas that I'm so happy not to fall in love with them.
Exactly.
I'm in Israel now. I'm usually I'm in Los Angeles, but now I'm visiting for the Jewish holidays. Sorry, I'm Jewish. So yeah. So
yeah, I mean, Los Angeles is basically Israel too, right? I mean, I grew up in Long Island.
Yeah, man, Israel is there. Yeah, too much. Yeah. Yeah,
That's cool.
whenever I meet like a real American there, I'm surprised. Oh, serious? You born and raised? Oh, wow! You're the first one today.
100%. I'm in Los. Yeah, totally. It's an immigrant city, and so I live in Nashville, Tennessee, and it's very different than because my parents immigrated to New York City, so that's where I
Okay.
grew up. And so
And
being in
where are you from originally?
India, South
India. Okay.
India. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So in fact, there's a lot of similarities between Indians and Israelis in terms of
Yeah, yeah,
culture.
yeah.
You
So
know,
I need to tell you in Hebrew, Indian is Hodi, and Jewish is Yehudi. So Yehudi and Hodi has just one letter in. So they say there is connection, and you know that there are many Jewish people in the Menashe tribe in north of India. So there, yeah, yeah, and
totally.
and we like money. So
That's
yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
so it's so funny. So I'll tell you one story. So I mean, this is maybe pre-pandemic 2019. There was an Israeli company that we were, gonna potentially sell to, and one of our investors at the time, he's a Jewish guy. He's in Florida, but his wife's Israeli. And I remember him telling me, he's like, dude, Israelis are extremely tough negotiators. Like, you need to be careful. Like, he was telling me this. He's like, my wife's Israeli. I love Israelis, but they are tough, and they're gonna
No,
fuck.
the Indian people are the toughest.
That's what I said. I said, dude, I've been watching my parents go into fucking, dealerships, car
I
dealerships.
think that Indian and Chinese are the toughest negotiators and the best. They're very good at it. But this is my perception. I'm not sure it's something to write home about. My perception.
So Department of Energy contract coming up. That's insane. So that basically, from a valuation standpoint, you've achieved the unicorn status at that point,
No,
right?
no, no. So I'll tell you a secret. We're now being traded in the Israeli stock market, Tel Aviv stock market, at less than $11 million. This is how crazy it is because the Israeli investor does not understand what we're doing. We're totally. It's like Chinese. We were not. No, nobody no understand what they're doing. They're doing ice storage. Leave me. They don't. So there is zero interest in our stock. But this is before the DOE, and of course I'm talking about it. It's all public, of course. Otherwise, I'll go to jail. But we are talking about that we just finished, the last stage, or we're close to finish the last stage. We finished very successfully the second phase of the DOE LPO, Slow Loan Program Office, for $280 million. Nobody cares. I mean, I put announcement on the internet, and the stock goes down 2%. It's like nobody understands what we're talking. Say, they're bullshitting again. Never mind. It's soon enough. Call me. Check half a year from now what's happening with us, and I'll tell you some good things.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you guys are publicly traded. How's
Yeah,
that like for a
yeah.
public company?
But
Is
but this
it
is
like
not this is not a recommendation to buy our stocks, guys. I don't want to go to jail. Just put aside everything I said and put like a hint of pessimism on it. Don't buy the stock.
so you ran a private company, right? That you've ran this company when it was private, and
Because the time 2 years ago when we became public, there was a great chance to be valuated at $50 million and raise about $20 million through a short process, and it was the pandemic. And I said, okay, I don't know where I bring money to the company, but that was it was a backwind in the sales of all the clean energy that, of course, turned against us after half year. But we took advantage of this movement, and we did well. And now we're struggling, but I'm totally confident that everything will turn right. I'm sure about it in the next half year or so, and we are very bullish about. I mean, what we're doing. Like I said, I live in Los Angeles, and we're signing now, companies on LOIs to join the LPO, the DOE fund financial scheme, and everybody are very very enthusiastic about it. And I'll tell you something: the carbon liability of real estate and commercial users is coming. So there is
well,
a local law 97 in New York City, which starts kicking in at January 24. labeling every excess ton of CO2 with a $268 fine for building owners in New York City, Manhattan. And people are totally, they don't understand what to do with it, but that's going to kick hard. And what we're saying, this is called carbon liability. Nobody knows nothing about it as we speak. We're in August or September 23. I'm telling you, January 24. This is 3 months from now. The whole world of real estate going to deal with that. And we believe that California will be soon after, and other big, states in the United States and other places will start to count the carbon emissions related to commercial and industrial entities, because it must be regulated. It must be, otherwise we're so behind. We are with our carbon, goals. So we are a proactive carbon shield for our buildings. I cannot explain that to you thoroughly now, but I'm telling you, whoever puts our system is secured. He has a carbon shield, a proactive carbon shield, and he will be out of the hook for many years if he will choose our technology. And there are other technologies coming in, but we are the first safe technology for energy storage inside buildings, and we help our customers to choose when they take their power. And with carbon emissions, the when is the most crucial thing, because if you take your power at daytime in California, it has very, very little carbon related emissions. If you take it at sunset, there is a huge carbon liability to what you're doing because of the picker plant, because the whole grid is struggling with the sunset. So today it's all about take more power when the sun is up there, and avoid as much power as you can when the sun is setting down, and you're good. If you have the ability to choose between these two, you're protected. If you don't have this ability, you're going to pay a lot of fines, a lot of fines in the next few years. So everything is coming to where, sadly, everything is coming towards us, because the situation is not very, bright with all the climate change and what's happening around us.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but we actually offer a real proactive cure to help the grid.
That's sweet. That's exciting. I mean, it's sad at a climate level, but it's exciting because it creates new opportunities for growth and innovation. And I think that's actually why I'm quite optimistic about the climate. Is once capital markets and actual markets start reflecting the urgency of the climate problem, I know human innovation can get us out of it. So where can people find you and your company on the interwebs?
Just Nostromo. It's Nostromo, Nostromo Energy, or come to the Beverly Hilton. It's a very prestigious, it's an iconic building in Beverly Hills. You can come. You can call me before it. I'll show you the one of the most amazing energy storage systems. It's there, open for the crowd. Just talk to me before you come, so we will give you the whole tour.
I will be in LA at some point, probably in the spring, and
I'll be there. I'll be there. Come, have a coffee with us. Yeah, we'll have a selfie.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, awesome. Stay cool, as we say in Nostromo.
Yeah, awesome. We'll do.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to the Frontier Podcast powered by Gun.io. We drop 2 episodes per week, so if you like this episode, be sure to subscribe on your platform of choice and come hang out with us again next week and bring all your internet friends. If you have questions or recommendations, just shoot us a Twitter DM at The Frontier Pod, and we'll see you next week.